Howdy folks, Jacob and Katie out here at the Paulette farm. It's getting a little late in the day, so we're going to show you, we got our batch of pigs that we joked about. These were the little pigs that stayed home. We finally got them back out on grass. Now that we've taken the first load off to the processor, we're able to get these back on grass. We've hit the thick part of the spring flush, so there's enough grass now that we feel safe putting them out, letting them sit on an area for a little while. So you'll notice we've got them run just using same infrastructure we use for all the animals on the farm. So just the twisted poly braid, electric fence, wire and reels. We've got just a solar energizer to put our voltage in it. And so the size they're in right now, probably going to keep them in here, I'd say 2, maybe 3 days tops. So American Guinea Hogs do great on pasture, but if you leave them too long, they can't impact it. And so it's kind of a balance with pigs. We want them to impact it and knock it down, disturb the seed bed, and give us, more vibrant growth. That way, when the sheep and hopefully later this year chickens and geese go over it, we have more of a diversity in our field. Because if we look out this way, one of the problems we've been fighting with this last year is we've got a very thick stand of Cerisa lespedeza. So that's what that old woody kind of stalk is. And then I've got just a little bit of sedge up here on the hill that I'm hoping the pigs will kind of knock down. So the Cerisa lespedeza is not bad for sheep. They'll actually eat the leaves off of it, and it's a pretty good forage for them. I would just like a little bit more diversity in my pasture. I don't want it to look like just a solid stand of the lespedeza. So if you pan around that way, babe, you can kind of see out here where the sheep and the hogs have been, especially as we kind of pan back towards the corral. So you can see in that area it's a lot more lush. We got a lot of stuff out in it where we were working earlier today, but you can see in how tall the grass is and how much more just kind of vibrant growth it has. So we're hoping by having the pigs run over more of the field this year that we can get that same kind of growth and just vibrancy in our pasture. We kind of had to stop moving the hogs a lot last year. We had less hogs, and then when we got to where we were really moving them quite often in July, we hit the drought last year, and we just got very hot and very dry, and the soil was hard. So what we did is we just kind of picked a sacrifice paddock where we left the pigs until they went to the processor about a month later. So but now that this year we've got more pigs, hoping to use them to kind of, like I said, work the field over a bit and just increase our overall just fertility, and plus it makes the pigs taste better. I mean, when you get an American Guinea Hog cut of meat back, you should see that yellow fat in it. It should have that keratin and that chlorophyll from all the grass and plant matter they eat. It just makes them taste a lot better. That's one of the things we noticed with the batch that we took. We took them in probably a little early, but we were kind of wanting to see what our weights would be at that age. That way we could gauge our weight to feed ratio and stuff. But also those were a batch that had been overwintered without a ton of grass the last few months. So most of these won't go to processing for several months now. Some of them probably won't go until into the summer or maybe even start of the fall. So they should have all summer on all the growth in the field and have access to it. So I think they'll bulk up a lot more because they'll get a lot more of their feed intake besides just us putting out hog feed and hay and bringing them clippings and stuff. But overall, really happy with how well it went. Most of them seem to be respecting the wire so far, hopefully. They recognize it. We've had them in it with them in their winter pen, and then we had them back out in the training pen for a bit to get them used to it. But so far nobody's blown through it, so that'll be Katie's adventure in the morning if they're all still in here or not when she comes out to do the morning chores. But thank you all for joining us, and like I said, we will keep posting videos as interesting topics come up. I know we're still on piglet watch, so we still have 3 of our big girls just getting bigger every day. I mean, Miss Piggy is round at this point, so I'm hoping we will have piglets in the next week to 2 weeks. I imagine it's going to be the kind of thing we're expecting rain the next few days. That's another thing we're going to kind of watch with this setup is, we get a ton of rain, you have to move the pigs a little faster. But I figure our luck, barometric pressure is going to drop, and we're probably just going to have piglets everywhere. That tends to be the way it goes. It's the old joke, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 a.m. in the morning. I imagine that's going to be how it goes. And some of Kaylin's ewes look like they're getting closer to having lambs. She should be lambing, beginning of May, somewhere in there, in the first week or 2. So she had her surprise lambs, Zip and Zap, earlier in the year. So if you go back and watch our very first video, you can see them when they were all little bitty and cute. Now they're teenagers and just bouncing around. We were trying to catch them earlier and that did not work. So that'll be a later project. but 1 or 2 of her other ewes are hopefully bred and going to drop some lambs. So like I said, just give it a few weeks and they'll probably just be babies everywhere. All right, well, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.